Alright guys, finally we're back here. Alright, the next thing we're gonna do is we got this old O-ring back here, and you can tell an O-ring is bad that if the top half of it looks flat and that one looks flat. So what we're gonna do is get us a skinny screwdriver and we're gonna pick up on that O-ring. And this O-ring is still got a little flexibility to it and it's good, but now look at this O-ring and you see how it's flat right there? I mean, this thing is worn down. So that's how you can tell if an O-ring is bad or not. A lot of times it breaks apart, but this one's not breaking apart, this one's just flat. Let's get the new one and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now right here, the customer bought the parts. Here's the new O-ring she bought, and this is the genuine Hyundai O-ring. There's the part number in case you need to know. Let's just rip this open. Now you see how this O-ring is made? See how it's nice and rounded on the outside compared to the old one? The old one looks flat, and those are the same O-rings. That's how you can tell a bad. Now let's go over here, put this one on. It's very simple. Try not to use a screwdriver or anything. Only thing you're gonna do is start on one end, hook it into the groove, and bring it around just like that. Alright, now what I'm doing is taking the antifreeze that was on there. You just want to take the antifreeze and just put it around there as a lubricant so when you put it together. Alright, when we come back, we're going to get us a wire brush and all, and we're going to clean where the old water pump housing used to be. Alright, we'll be right back. Okay, the next thing we got us my little wire wheel brush on my little air dye grinder from Harbor Freight. Check out the video review I did on this. Great tool. Alright, and what I want to do is just go in here and I want to clean up where the gas goes. If you don't have this, you can use a wire brush or you can use a fine grit sandpaper, which will do just as good. And you want to be careful because you got your crank sensor here and you got the wiring, so you want to make sure if you're using a tool like this, you want to make sure that's out of the way, and then you're going to cause yourself more of a headache. So we're going to clean this up and we'll be right back. Alright guys, everything came out good. The next thing I want to do is got my little air blower here, because what I want to do is blow all this. You guys see antifreeze down in here and dirt and all. Clean that off. And also, especially, you got your crankshaft pulley down there. You see all that grime and stuff within the gears? You want to make sure you get that out because you don't want that to interfere with the belt. Alright, pretty good. Next, take you a nice clean rag and wipe off where your water pump will be mounting to. And I'm going to wipe off all around here. Alright, looks great. Alright, let's go get our water pump and our water pump housing, and we're going to install that. Be right back. Alright guys, here we go. Here's our water pump. We had already pre-assembled. Now let's take out the bolts that's going to mount it up. Okay, let's turn it over. Okay, we got the new gasket. The new gasket that the customer got is not like the original. The original one is metal. This is like a cardboard type, and it's made to not use sealer. But guys, do not take a chance. You do not want to have to pull this job apart because you didn't put a little bit of sealer. So we're gonna put a little thin bead of silicone around there. But first, we're gonna clean this up, and then we're gonna put this together. All right, we'll be right back. All right, we got it all cleaned up. Let me get our rag and just wipe this off. Alright, the next thing we're going to do, guys, we're going to position our gasket. Make sure everything is right. Great. Alright, now instead of trying to put silicone up here, what I'm going to do is take my gasket, lay it down. And guys, this is a very thin layer. Just like that. Go around. Now there's nothing sealing over here, but if you want, you can just to keep everything even. Okay. I know it ain't pretty. What'd you say?
I didn't say anything.
Okay. All right, there we go. Now what we're gonna do is pick it up. Put it on, line it up, line the holes up, lay it down. All right, that's great. All right, now the next thing you're gonna do is use one hand to keep it in place, and put your other little bead around there. Oh, tell me that wasn't good. Tell me I didn't draw that like. You ain't saying nothing now, are you? Alright guys, the next thing you want to do is while it's there, the silicone's going to hold it into place. This little bracket on the top of the water pump, let's take this off for now. Now let's take our bolts and put it, remember this 114mm bolt is going to go right up on the top right there. Then the rest of them, I think it's 13mm, put them in there just to keep that gasket lined up. Alright, now we're going to go over here to our engine. With our bolts in it, slowly lower our water pump down. The first thing we want to make sure is that our O-ring, that pipe back there, make sure that's lined up. At the same time, our bolts are lined up. What the heck, man? Dang it, the gasket came off, man. This is okay. It's still connected. Excuse me, guys. It's there it is. All right. Let's get that lined up. And I got the bolts lined up, and I'm gonna start putting them in a couple threads, maybe about 1 or 2 threads. And it looks like I gotta move that pipe a little bit, and I'm gonna wiggle it, put it right on, just like that. And one of the bolts came out of the water pump, but it's okay. And so I'll make sure the other ones are lined up. That is great. All right, well, bolt landed on top of the chassis right here. And that's the one that goes right here on the end.
Hey, you know, yesterday I learned that chassis is French for frame.
Yeah? Wow. Look at that, guys. You just learned something. 'Cause I did. Chassis is French for frame. Huh.
I learned that on Cash Cab.
Cash Cab? What the heck are they talking about that for?
It's a game show.
Yeah, I mean, what are they talking about?
The question was, what, I forgot how he said it exactly, but what is something called in the car, I forgot what he said, that is the French word for frame.
Huh. Alright guys, I'm going to get the tools. We're going to get this tightened up. Be right back. Alright guys, we got a 12mm deep socket 3/8 drive. And what we're going to do is tighten up the 12mm bolts. And what I'm going to do is start right here. My 3/8 drive ratchet. Now this bolt over here, I'm going to show you how to do this, because you want to make sure it's all even. I'm just going to bring this bolt in till it just slightly stops. Alright, then I'm going to go to the other side. And do the same thing to one of the bolts over here. So at least now I know my pump is going evenly on there. Now we're gonna go ahead and tighten them up. I'm gonna start from right here down at the bottom. Now remember, because that is a cardboard gasket, you can over tighten it and break that gasket, or you're gonna end up breaking the bolt. So what you want to do, let's get this one in here. It's not even. Okay, there we go. Thought I was tightening that one up and I wasn't doing nothing, man. All right, so to tighten up these bolts, what you want to do is go till the bolt stops and then just snug it just a little bit more. All right, that's all you want to do because you don't want to break those. All right, and then remember this one's a 14 millimeter, so that's going to be your last bolt. All right, let's get these bolts tightened up and we'll be right back. All right, guys, we got the pump tightened up. The next thing we're going to do is put our little brace right here on the top of the water pump. Let's remove our 12 millimeter bolt that we put in there earlier, days ago. And let's see how this water pump, yeah, there we go, like brace goes just like that. Put our bolt back in right there. Put the bolt in back here. And it looks like that's just to stabilize that pump. Alright, so what I'm going to use is a 12 millimeter deep 3/8 drive ratchet. I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up. Now I just sprung that one down. I didn't tighten it up all the way yet. Now what I'm going to do is tighten up this one so it goes flush right up against the engine. Okay, now I'll tighten up the one right here to the pump. And it's aluminum pump, so don't be going crazy with this bolt. Alright, that's it. The next thing you want to do is grab your 14 millimeter shallow socket 3/8 drive with your same 3/8 drive ratchet. You see this pulley right here? This is the tensioner pulley. That comes in the kit. So what we're going to do is reach down here, and you can see the pulley moves a little bit. So you just make sure you pick it up all the way. And drop your ratchet. And then you just look at it from up here and pissed off at yourself.
Dang it.
Yeah, dang it. Alright, so the bolt's loose at least. So what I'm going to do is finish unloosening that up. Alright. And where's my ratchet? There it is. Now what you want to do is make sure there's no spacer or anything behind it. So you want to carefully take that pulley off of there. Okay. There's nothing there. That's great. Set that right there. Here's the new one. Now be careful, because on one side of this pulley, you see there's nothing there. On the other side, you'll see two little holes. Those are to get us tool to put the tension on it. That's the side that's going to be facing out towards you. So let's take our bolt, put it in there like that. Oh, that's cool. Now I'm holding this in place. See, I try to spin it, and it won't. Take this one, and that, hear that noise, guys? That could be what we were hearing. Alright, so we reach down there, lower it down. You're going to bolt it up right to this one right here. That's what it bolts to. Alright. And we are not tightening this up. We're just going to bring it in all the way till it stops by hand. And then we're going to move on to the next step. If I can never get this thing to line up. All right, we're gonna bring that in. Make sure that's away. All right, we are good. We are good. All right, guys, we're gonna move on to the next step. We'll be right back. All right, guys, the next thing we're gonna do is put this little bracket on. But before we do that, we got an old pulley here. Oh, that thing's just spinning. And we got a new pulley. Let's open up this new pulley. Okay. Let's take this off. Put our bolt in it. Hey, this one is not making that noise like the other one did. Alright, so we're going to put our bolt in here and we're going to put it into here. And let's go over here to the engine and put this on. Now, looking at the back of the bracket, you see the bolt for the pulley. And you see this little tab sticking out right here? Very important. You want to make sure that tab, both these, this one's going to be on the top and this one's going to be on the bottom. So we're going to install it just like this. And that little tab is going to sit right here in the engine. That little hole right there. So what you're going to do is lower it down. Put the bracket in place. And what you want to do is walk it back and forth, and great, it's in there. Let's get our bolt started. 14mm bolt. Okay, let's see what I'm going to use here. Let's try a 14mm deep. There we go. It's important to have that tab lined up because that's going to help you, because without it, you're going to try to put the rest of the bolts in and they're not going to line up at all. So we're going to bring this bolt all the way in. There we go. And it's still kind of, I don't like that because it still gives me a play back and forth. So what I'm going to do, you know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to get me another bolt around here. And I'm going to just put a bolt in there to make sure it lines up. It looks like it goes right about there though. But you know, we want to definitely be safe than sorry. Alright, so I'll be right back. Alright guys, this bracket right here that holds the motor mount and all that, this is the bracket that bolts up down there. So what I want to do is I want to take out these two bolts right here. 1 and 2, both of them the same length, so I'm not really worried about it. Set our bracket up right here. And only thing I want to do is just put the bolts in here. And you saw what happened? See, now if I would have tightened that up, I don't know if it was over there. Yeah, see, I had to move it a little bit so it wouldn't have lined up. So I'm going to just take both of the bolts, put them in there by a few threads. Maybe I should have tightened up the bottom one first. I need to get this one out. Alright, let me start this one first. Okay, top one in. Now I want to go about 5 or 6 threads because when I tighten up this bolt right here, that's a lot of pressure up against there, and I didn't want to twist them bolts or cause the threads to mess up. All right, so let's get our 14mm socket, which is already up there, the 14mm deep, and I got my 3/8 drive ratchet. And let's go in here, and now we can tighten up the pulley bolt. Perfect. Once it's done, make sure your pulley spins, because if it don't, remove it. Something's wrong. All right, now we can take our bolt back out. And guys, we're ready to put this belt on. Now we're going to set the cams and a special tool, and Sylvia's going to tell you when we come back where she got the tool from. So in case you guys need to get it, and you definitely should get it because it wasn't that expensive. All right, be right back. All right, guys, you know what? I forgot something. Before we do that, remember on the crankshaft sensor, remember that bolt we saw that was hanging out there? Let's get our 10mm deep. Oh yeah. I'm tightening. I'm bringing that by hand. let's tighten that up. And let's go over the other one too. Make sure that's good. And these are not super tight because they're going into plastic. Okay, good. Oh man, guys, this one was loose too. There we go. Done. All right, now let's go get the tool. We'll be right back. All right, guys, here's the tools you're gonna need. These tools are to line up the cam. Little cheap plastic things, very inexpensive. And on the top of them, you're gonna see it says XG. There's the left hand one, and this is the right hand one. Now, when you're doing the left hand and right hand, this is not as if you're facing the engine. All right, this is as in the engine itself. If you're standing behind the engine, like if this was the front of you, that would be your right side right here. So this is the right side, and this is the left side. Now, what we did was make it easy for you guys so you can see this. We took little markers and we marked where the timing's got to be, and here is the marks on the gears, and we put a little line in there to make it easy for us to see where it's at. Now what you want to do is take you an 11/16 or a 17mm wrench, and then you want to grab the one that's for the left hand side. And what you want to do here is first, now this side is real easy, guys. The other side is going to be a little pain. And what you want to do is take the tool, take your wrench, and line up where the marks go, where the marks are. All right, now this one's got a little spring action to it. If I let it go, so what I'm going to have to do is hold this over to here. Then Sylvia's going to take the tool, and you want to make sure the name of it, the name on them, is facing the top to you. All right, then as I'm wiggling this, move back and forth, you push that tool in there. Let me try that.
Oh, sorry.
You get that tool lined up in there, and it's going to be a tight fit. Once you get in there, just like that, tap it in. Our marks are identical, are perfectly lined up, and the tool stays in there, so we can put our belt on and not even have to worry about it. Like that.
I have a question. Our situation like this vehicle, that we did this because the water pump needed to be replaced. There was nothing wrong with the belt. Can you put these tools on before, like?
Yes,
so
definitely. That's
before you take the belt off.
That's definitely a good idea to do that.
Because you figure the timing's already set, right?
A lot of times, but it depends on how long the belt's been there, because it might have stretched out. But definitely, no, that's a good idea. You line them up, and then even if you have to move it a little bit with the wrench, that's good, and you get them lined in there. That's a perfect fit. All right, now over here, guys, on the other cams, it's kind of difficult. Because what you're definitely going to need is 2 people. Because both cams are spring tension. They're spring loaded. Right now, well, not spring loaded, but they're on the lifters, and they're ready to bounce back at any time. Now you can see, watch me when I take this wrench and bring it over. See how it wants to go back? Do not use a ratchet. I'm gonna show you what happens here. Now if I just turn this and I get to the mark, and if I go a little bit more, it's ready to snap back into place on the other side. I don't want that. See how it snaps there? So you gotta have a wrench to hold that in place. Now what we're gonna do here is I gotta make sure that I can, when I turn this, my wrench is not in the way of sticking the tool in there. So what I want to do now, turn my wrench. Guess I'm gonna have to go up a little bit more. All right, get the top one lined up, and that's now this one over here. I'm not gonna be able to see, so Siri's gonna have to tell me where I'm lining up on that one. And what I'm gonna do here is go over here, and I'm gonna turn it. Ready? And once I get it lined up, she's gonna try to put that tool in there.
A little bit more. A little more. A little more. A little bit more. Stop.
All right. It's a very tight spot, guys. And what we're gonna do here, you got that pocket there. I am trying to hold it into place down here also. And we're trying to see if that wrench is in the way. Because our wrench might be...
No. Is it? Or might be.
Yeah. Got it. There it is. Is that one? Did I move that over there? That's good. That's lined up. Look at that. Both marks are lined up?
That one is...
Yep, that one, I can see that one from here. That was good. And
yeah.
And you can see that one. All right, so we got all marks lined up. Our tools into place. Let's go get our new belt. We'll be right back. All right, guys. Next thing we're going to do, let's put our belt on. Now, you want to watch your belt because a lot of belts have arrows. That tells you the direction it's going to be moving at. So we know the engine moves this way, so we're going to put our belt down this way. Like this. Now what you want to do is your crank sensor, take it and put it through the belt. So that's got to be through there. And let's put our thing down there. The cam sensor, it doesn't. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is go around here, put the belt on our two cams, right side cams. And that fits great, guys. That fits great. Let's go down to our water pump. Up under the water pump. Go up. Now over to our other cams. You want to make sure it's inside that pump, inside those pump grooves. Get this out of the way. Okay, great. We're going to go around to our other cam. Now on this side right here is very important because you want to make sure all your tension is on this side. So this side is the very important one. So, and you notice I don't have my tensioner in there yet because what I want to do is make sure I get this belt up there. Then we go down to the crank, and then we got our little tensioner pulley right here. Gonna go around that. Alright, now see right now, see the slack over here? That's no good. I can't deal with that slack. We don't need that slack. So we got slackers. Yeah, no slackers. So what we gotta do here is go underneath and turn that crank. And what I'm gonna do is turn the crank back one tooth, get it lined up, get it hooked on the belt, and then turn it back forward. So in that way, then it'll put a lot of tension on this side. I'm gonna show you what I mean in a minute. Let's get this out of our way. Tuck this out of the way. All right, let me get a wrench in that, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, the next thing I gotta do is I got me a 7/8 wrench down here, and what we gotta do is bring this belt down, and we gotta make sure it's nice and tight on this side of the engine. Now, in order to do that right, what we want to do here is we want to back the crank up about one tooth. Get our belt on. Keep it into place, keep everything good. And then, now it's going to be loose, a little loose on this side. And my mark is off. Now, I take my wrench and turn it back clockwise. Just enough. Perfect. Look at that. Perfect lined up. I got nice tension over there. Let it go. I am ready to go on this. Everything is lined up and got perfect tension on it. Now, what we're going to do now is let's go get our new tensioner. Right back. All right, guys, here we go. We got our new tensioner. And you're going to have a little safety pin in there. It's like you got a grenade or something. Bam, that thing going to come right out of there. Just like this one. But we don't do that until we're ready. So let's take our bolts out. Both bolts are the same length. Yes, they are. All right, let's get them in there. And let's go set this over to the engine. Okay. Now what I got here, I'm holding my hand in place, and I'm going to pick up on the tensioner right here. That's just to keep my belt in place. Then I'm gonna take my tensioner. It's got the two. I'll switch up on my hands. It's got two bolt holes right down in here. Man, trying to get this thing in here. There you go. Get them lined up just like that. Get the other bolt in. And my hand is still holding the tension on this. Alright, and then I want to make sure these things are in by hand without cross-threading it. And once you get that in, you can release the belt, release the tensioner, and we're ready to go. Now, let's get some 12mm socket. Let's get a 12mm socket, and let's tighten these up, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to put the tension on this pulley, on this tensioner pulley, before we pull the pin. Alright, be right back. Alright guys, check it out. I want you to check this out, what we're going to be doing. And it's better for me to show you out here on these old parts. Now here's the tensioner. Oh, you know, and by the way, if you're reusing your tensioner, which you shouldn't be, you're going to have to push this plunger down into the housing and put a pin in there to hold it in place. Definitely going to have to use that with a vice grip. I mean, not vice grip, a vice. Or what you can do, which I do, is I set it up on my hydraulic jack, put this under the truck on the frame, and jack it up, and it pushes it in. Then I stick the pin right in there.
Seems like it'd be a lot easier to get a new one.
Yeah, definitely. All right, now this. Let me get some here. Notice how the hole on this thing is offset. So if I'm right here, and if this turns, it brings the pulley out here to go up against the belt and put tension on it. So you're gonna have to preset this. Now let's see, from your point of view, I'm gonna look at it from your point of view. Setting like this, the belt over here, this is the tension is off of the belt. When you see that bolt, when you see these two holes away from the belt. Now what you're gonna do, which I'm gonna do, and hopefully you can see this, and I'm gonna show you this. What I'm gonna do is take a screwdriver, and I'm gonna put that right in the hole, and I'm gonna pick that up, and that's gonna put tension on the belt. Not a lot. I'm just go up there till it stops, and then I'm gonna take my wrench, my 14mm wrench, and I'm gonna finish tightening up that bolt while holding this in place. All right. Then we're going to release the pin, and it's going to pull up the rest of the tension. All right, let's get over there. We're back. All right, guys, the first thing we're going to do is we got a 12mm deep, 3/8 drive, 8.5-inch extension with a 3/8 drive ratchet. And what we're going to do is go down there, and we're going to tighten up that tensioner, tensioner bolts first. Two 12mm bolts. Tighten them up. Great, that's ready. Now, get up under here, taking my screwdriver, and I'm going in a counterclockwise position. There you go. Put the belt in place, take my wrench, and tighten that up. Where you take all that slack out of that belt. Cheesy macro thing. There we go. Alright, let me just tighten it up a little bit more. So I'm hitting that pin. I'm trying to avoid that pin right there. I'm bending that pin. You want to make sure that's nice and tight. There we go. And you see right now, I got just a little bit of play up there. A little bit of play. But that's all right. So as soon as we pull this pin, it's going to release it out of there. So let me but before I pull that, what we're going to do now is go and make sure all our marks are lined up perfectly. All right, be right back. All right, guys, let's check it out. Let's go over here first. If you look in there, we got both our marks. We need a little screwdriver. You don't need my screwdriver, do you? Got them lined up perfectly right there. On this side, we got it lined up perfectly. Let's go to the other side.
This one's gonna be higher, you see?
Look right through here. You can see
here?
this one. Follow that line back. You can see back in there. You can see that one lined up. Then go to the other side. And that one's going to be difficult to see. I'm trying to pull this belt up a little bit. Maybe you can see in there.
You can see the mark on the groove, but
Yeah.
you're not all the way back. But now what if we go?
Nah, I tried over there looking up there. But that one is lined up, guys. Now, come down here to the bottom. Of the engine. Let me see if we can. Let me lower this down a little bit. All right. Now, if you look right inside here, you see the little tab.
There.
Let me get on this side. All right, if you look right there, you see a little indentation right there, and then you see the mark right there. That is great. That is perfect. All right, now that we know we got that, before we take the tension out, let's go up here and remove our tools. And these are going to be kind of tight to come out. That's why they got holes in it, so you can put something in there. So what we're going to do is get my 3/8 extension, just put it in there like that. Come right out. Let's go to the other side. And what I'm doing, I'm putting it, and the other end's resting up against the bolt on the camshaft. And then I just, this one came out perfect. Great. Now we reach down there. Now I'm good to go. Take the pin. Dang it.
Lose it.
You got it. There we go, guys. Look at that. Our belt, it's got tension everywhere. It is perfect. We cannot get no better than that. Now, they do say rotate the engine 2 times, but this is great. I am positive we're on with this. And you wanted to save these clips also. These things are great to have. And also, remember, your belt. Remember, you'll see them arrows up there. That's the way this is going to rotate. All right, so I'm going to go to the party line. I'm going to see what's next. We'll be right back. All right, guys, the next thing we got is our big bulky bracket right here. Okay, what we got is 4 bolts holding in. 1, 2. Let's make sure these are all the same size. Yes. And yes. Okay, all 4 bolts are the same size. And then we're going to have to remove the bolt here on the side. Alright, let's grab one of our long bolts, lower it down into the engine. It's going to go right there. Okay, perfect. Let's get one of these bolts in here. You know what, guys? Let's do this. Take this back out. Take it back out. Take it back out. Take it back out. Let's put our bolts back in there. There's no way we're going to get these bolts in there with it up against the frame like that. So let's put our bolts back in there. bring them out. All right, let's lower it down now. Okay. Let's lower it down. Yeah, this ain't definitely not all that easy. Okay. All right, there we go. Now let's start one of these bolts by hand. Okay, we got one in there, one under there. In fact, let me go to the bottom. All right, here we go. Again, I want to make sure all my bolts are started by hand first before we go tightening them up, so we don't cross thread them. We got our one right up under here. That's the one that gave us a hard time last time. So I want to bring that one in as much as I can by hand. All right, we're pretty much looking good on that. Now what I'm gonna do is get me a 14mm speed wrench. I'm gonna tighten this one up under here first because I'm right here. And then we're gonna go to the next ones, all right? Be right back. All right, I got my 14mm speed wrench, and what I'm gonna do first, we forgot this one more 14mm bolt, and this goes down here, right on the side, right here. Let's get that bolt in there. Again, make sure you can get that in by some threads so it don't cross thread into aluminum. All right, now I'm gonna go up underneath. Got my speed wrench. I'm gonna tighten up this one. Then I'm gonna go over here and tighten up this one, the same speed wrench. And we got one right here, which I might have to get I'm gonna get a wrench for that one. But this one I can tighten up also. So we're gonna tighten up those three and we'll be right back. All right guys, now I got my 14mm shallow socket, 3/8 drive, on 3/8 drive ratchet. And what I'm gonna do, here, bring that in all the way. I'm gonna tighten up this side bolt with it. I'm gonna try to. All right, I'm gonna tighten up this one and the bolt inside of here that I couldn't get to before. I'm gonna tighten up that one. In fact, I got to get that one from the bottom. All right, let's get those two bolts tightened up and we'll be right back. All right guys, the next thing we're gonna do is put our front cover on. These covers are really messed up. They got dry rot. I mean, not dry rot. This thing is just coming apart like crazy. You can see right around here, looks like it was hitting. These things are really coming apart. So let's get our bottom one on first. Take a look at it from the top, and what I'm gonna do here is bring our cover up. Make sure our harness to our crank sensor is coming out. Bring the cover up and on. All right, now what you need is 5 10mm bolts. Matter of fact, come to the front of the engine. And here's 3 right here. Okay, we got 1 right here. One up here. Got one over here that's hard to see. And this color is really messed up, guys. This thing is really coming apart. All right, now I want you to go back to the top because there's one very important one that you definitely need to see. All right, can you see my hand?
Hold on, let me find you. Yeah.
All right. This is the harness to the crank sensor. You want to make sure this bolt is in there because it holds that crank sensor harness in place. Because without it, you are definitely gonna, that harness will rub up against the pulley or one of the pulleys and shear and cause the car to stall right out. All right, we got that. And let me go to the top. And you got one bolt right dead center right into here. And let me get me a socket for this. What I'm going to be using is a 10mm deep 1/4" drive. Put my socket right there. And if you want, you can grab you a piece of a whatever, something in there. Just hold that bolt into place.
They should make everything magnetic.
Yeah, you should. Magnetic sockets. That'd be great.
Let's invent them and become millionaires.
I'm already a millionaire.
Oh.
I'm on top of the world. Just can't get this bolt in. All right, there we go, guys. Now we're using a 10mm deep 1/4" drive socket. Get me a 1/4" drive wrench, and we're going to tighten these up. All right, be right back. All right, guys, check it out. The bolt right here going to the crank sensor harness. My 10mm, well, it can get in there, but it's kind of tight. So you might on this one, you might want to use a 10mm shallow. But I can barely get in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten that up. Just want to show y'all guys that. Great. All right, now go ahead and tighten up these other ones. All right, just want to show you that. Be right back. All right, guys. The next thing we're gonna do, we got our other 2 top covers, but these covers are in really bad shape. These things, I mean, look at this thing. This thing's actually falling apart over here. This ain't gonna be holding on. The whole lip over here is off. This one will barely hold on. On this one right here, the thing is so rotted out on the inside. We're gonna put this on the best way we can. But what we're gonna do is, we notice how this one goes over this. So what we need to do is put this one on first, and we got our little opening there for our cam sensor. And once we put this one on, then we're gonna a little bracket and get that alternator bolted back up. All right, we'll be right back. All right, here we go. Let's lower our cover down into place. Okay, look good. And see that, I mean, over here, this is off. But let's get our other bolts in. You know, actually, guys, wait a minute here. We got this little bracket that went over here. So let's get this bracket into place. One, and I guess we got to put this in here the best way we can, and the bracket will actually hold some of that in place. And then we got one more bolt to put in right there. Alright, so let's put that bolt in and we'll be right back. Alright guys, we've got that cover on. The next thing we're going to do before we put the other cover on, let's get that alternator in here. And you can see right here, there's a slot. That's where the bolt goes to the bottom of the alternator. But first we got, you know what we got to do? We got to take off this nut right here, this 12mm nut. Okay. And let's bring our alternator over into the slot. There we go, perfect. And notice how I got my harness inside here so it can protect and stay inside without going to the pulleys or anything. All right, the next thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and bring this bracket up, bring it over a little bit, and get our 12mm bolt and put that right in there. Keep that alternator in place. Alright, that's perfect. Alright, the next thing I'm gonna do is come around this side and let's hook up our alternator. We have our big cable right here. We got a 13mm nut on the back of it with our lock washer. Alright, let's put that on there like that. Make sure your cover is out of the way. Put the lock washer back on. And the nut. Alright, let me go get a wrench and I'll be right back. Alright guys, got me a 13mm wrench, and the stubbier the better. I'm just gonna go in here and I'm gonna tighten up this the nut in back of here. Alright, this is not super tight, so don't be going crazy. You'll mess that alternator up if you do. Alright, then we put our cover, protective cover back on it. Next we're gonna do, we got our alternator bracket on the top, for the top. But first we gotta do is take out this bolt right here that we put in. Take that bolt out. We got two 12mm bolts right on top, and there's bolts right to the, come on this side. And it bolts right here to the side of the engine. So we're gonna do, bring our two bolts, bring our bracket down there. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let's take out one of the bolts and just get one started for now. Alright, we got one started. Move our harness over to the side and get our other one in there. Get that started. Dang it. Alright, that one started. And before I go ahead and tighten them up, what I'm going to do is get our alternator bolt, and it goes in through this way. Just like that, and get our nut on the end and tighten up. Now you notice the end of this bolt is squared off, and it goes right, it fits right up there against the alternator, so you can tighten up the nut and not even have to worry about that. All right, the next thing you want to do, get you a 12mm shallow socket 3/8 drive with 3/8 drive ratchet. I'm using my swivel ratchet so I can get in there, and we're gonna go ahead and tighten up them two 12mm bolts. We'll be right back. Alright guys, the next thing we're going to do, get you a 14mm shallow socket 3/8 drive with your 3/8 drive ratchet. And we're going to go ahead and tighten up this alternator. First of all, we got this one 14mm nut right over here in the front. Tighten that one up. Okay, then same ratchet, we got a 14mm nut right down here that we gotta tighten up. So get our ratchet down here. tight. All right, then you got this bracket right here. Two 12mm bolts. I'm using a 12mm wrench. I'm gonna go in here and tighten these up. And then we're gonna move on to the next step. Be right back. All right, guys, the next thing we're gonna do is get our other cover on. But before we do that, here's our cam sensor. You wanna make sure the cam sensor got that little thing on this little, like a spool on it. You wanna make sure you put it inside of this cover because that keeps this thing away from that belt. We're gonna put it like that. Make sure our harness and everything is out of the way. And you know what? Let's unhook our power steering pump. Or reservoir, the hose. Save this wire for another time. So get that out of the way. And then we're gonna lower our cover down into there. And it'll fit right in place. And what's messed up about this, guys, we only got 2 bolts holding this thing in. One over here and one right below it. Okay, we got 2 10mm bolts. And I am definitely going to be using, well, this one's way down there, so I'm going to have to get this one from the bottom. Let me put this one on, and let me lower the engine down. And what I'm going to do is I can see if I can, you can see right inside there. Let's see if I can reach up here, get this last bolt in. There it is. Right up under the house, right up under that power steering hose. And actually, if we remember, this bolt was out. So we're doing a good thing by putting this back. All right, let's get our 10mm shallow 1/4" drive, and we're gonna tighten these up. Be right back. All right, guys, I wanted to show you how tight this spot is. I got my 1/4" drive ratchet, my 1/4" drive 10mm shallow socket, and this hose, man, this power steering hose is like really in the, dang it, just holding up, really in the way here. You can only be turning a little bit at a time. That's why this bolt wasn't back in there. All right, I just want to show you this because you're going to have a hard time getting this bolt. All right, right back. All right, guys, we got that done. We are looking good. The next thing we're going to do, let's get our little wiring harness around here. Let's plug this up. Good. All right, our cam and crank sensor. All right, let's go up under here. We got to make sure it hooks onto these tabs. That's one. Okay. Number 2. Perfect. All right, let's go over here to the rest of our harness. We got little tabs right here that fits right inside there. This is supposed to be this whole thing is coming apart, man. It goes right there. Then we got one connector right here. Okay, get this right out of the way. Let's go into the fan. And then we got to the back of the alternator, which is right there. All right, we are looking good. All right, I'm gonna get some more parts on the party line, and we'll be right back. All right, the next 2 parts is our tensioner for our junk, power steering pump, and our other tensioner. And if you look right up under here, in fact, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna lay it down so you can be able to see it. The first one goes right over here. And what we gotta do here is you got the 2 holes right there. So what we're gonna do here is put the nut onto that, on that part onto the stud. And you gotta be kind of trying to hold it into place in the back. It sucks. Man, dang it. Alright, let's get that on better. Let's get that on, try to hold it in. Of course. No, we ain't gonna. No, we ain't gonna do it, Tim. We ain't gonna. Alright, let me go to the back here. Hold that in place. There we go. Alright. Dang it. I should have had to have the nut ready. No, I'm sitting here playing around. Alright, got my nut holding right here. And what I'm gonna do here is hold it in the back. Bring that up. There we go. Put the nut on it just to hold it into place. I said hold it into place. Alright, there we go. Alright, got that. Now, I gotta get the bolt. And the bolt goes way over here. I think I got it. Oh, what the heck? Heck no, I ain't got it lined up. What the heck? That goes way up there. Yeah, it's like it's a little pain to line up. You kidding me? I think still didn't line up. You know, I think it was easier putting the timing belt on. Okay, that's all good. Turn it around like that. Yeah. Finally. There we go. Now we got it. All right, the bolt is in. And that one's in. All right, and our adjustment is right there. All right, let's go get some tools so we can tighten this up. Right back. All right, guys, what I got? My 14mm swivel socket 3/8 drive and my 2-foot 3/8 drive extension. And then what I want to do is go in here, and here's one tensioner bolt, the nut. And what I want to do, I'm not going to tighten this up, but what you want to do is just bring that down. Till it stops just slightly, and then loosen back up a little bit. And do the same thing to the one on the top. We don't want them tightened up yet. Alright. Go back, loosen it up a little bit. Alright, the next we're going to do on this side of the engine, we have another tensioner right here. And here's our pulley at. Here's our pulley right here. We're gonna get our pulley that goes on here. Gonna set our pulley on there just like that. Put the 14mm nut on it. And do the same thing. We're gonna bring it till it stops. And then just loosen it up just a little bit. All right, the next thing I do, we gotta remove our bolt right here from the crankshaft. This is a 7/8, and what I'm gonna do is get my 7/8 1/2 inch. And just take that off of here. And remember, we put that nut up there to protect that roll pin right there. You definitely need to protect that, or you will mess that up and you will be in some serious trouble. All right, we got everything done up under there. The next thing we're gonna do is grab our harmonic balancer, and our harmonic balancer has a little hole right to the top of it, and that's where that roll pin is gonna sit in. So you want to put that up there, line it up, perfect. It's in there. Take the nut off of there. Start the bolt in there, and we're gonna tighten it up. Now, if you're using a cheesy Craftsman, you can put it on full torque, and it still probably won't be enough. But if you're using anything compared with the earthquake, don't go to high setting. Put it on your medium setting. Tighten that bolt up. That's it. Do not go to high setting. I repeat, do not go to high setting if you have anything like the earthquake or anything higher guns like that. All right. The Craftsman, that cheesy Craftsman we got for $20-something, you can do that all day. All right. The next thing we're gonna do is put our belts on. Now we notice up here. Let's see. We got two belts here: power steering and alternator. Remember, we marked those. The first belt we're gonna put on is the power steering, because that's way in the back. So now, if you go to the top, you might be able to see better. I'm not even sure. So what we're going to do here is put the belt on around our power steering pump, over the tensioner. Actually, wait a minute. You know what? Put that, because the harmonic balancer got way down in there, so we got to put it on there first. So let's put it on there first, and then on to everything else. And you want to make sure all your grooves are lined up. Perfect. All the grooves are lined up. Great. Now what you're going to do, come back over here in the front. And if you can look into there, I don't even have my light. Right here, you see a bolt right there. Let me get a light. Hold on, guys. All right, you got a bolt right there. That's the bolt you're going to use to tighten that belt up. And I'm using my same 14mm swivel socket. I'm going through the bottom around here, try to get the best angle at it. All right, and then I'm going to be tightening it. And as I'm tightening it, it's moving the tension and it's putting tension on this belt. Not yet. And you'll know it's tight when you get about a 1/2 inch deflection. A little bit more. Because if you get too loose, this thing will make some noise. And I don't mean that in a party sense. Oh, that's perfect right there. That's perfect. Take it off. Now we're going to tighten up our 14mm nut right here and the bolt. Okay, be right back. Alright guys, the next is the alternator belt. Fish out alternator belt up there some kind of way. Get it onto the top of the alternator, around the bottom pulley, and blah blah blah, around this pulley, around the power steering, the AC compressor, which is giving me a long time right now. Okay, around there, go down, make sure all the pulleys are lined up perfectly.
You gotta fix it up here.
It's off up there?
Mm-hmm. It's not in the groove though.
Huh. That's kind of something. Now?
No. Now.
Now. Okay, good enough. And it will probably come off because... Oh no, okay, it's on. Alright. What the heck, man? This thing... There we go. Okay. It's on. Now I'm going to show you how to tighten this up. Be right back. Alright guys, here we go. Now, we're going to tighten up our pulley. My same 14mm swivel. Go up from the bottom of the car. I'm going to tighten that up. And right now I got that 2-foot extension. You definitely don't need that. You're going to tighten that up and bring that pulley down. Very important, make sure all your pulleys, the belt is on all the pulley grooves. Looking for that 1/2 inch deflection, which are great, I got it. Go out here, get my socket out here, and go tighten up the nut right here in the front. All right, we'll be right back. All right guys, we're looking good here. The next thing we're gonna do here, how this goes? Yeah, okay, that goes on there, good. Let's take off our 2 bolts and the nut right here. Okay, and let's take out our big 17mm bolt right here. And let's lower our mount down into place. You can see this thing is really crooked because we're on the jack. So what we're going to have to do here is lower the engine just a little bit here. And see how I got to push this over? So what I'm going to do is grab one of the 17mm bolts. I'm going to put it right there. And I'm going to push the engine. Get that bolt started. Great. Let's get our other one. And we're going to do the same thing on this one. Great. Perfect. Next we're going to do, let's take our long 17mm bolt and let's try to line up this mount right here. Get that started. Great. Let's get some tools and be right back. Alright guys, I'm using my 1/2 inch drive gun, 17mm deep impact socket 1/2 inch drive, and my 4 1/4 inch 1/2 inch drive extension. What I'm going to do is go ahead over here, tighten up these bolts. One And I'm gonna tighten up the nut. Next, I'm gonna switch over to my 3/8 drive air ratchet, 17 millimeter deep, 3/8 drive. And what I'm gonna do is bring my bolt in. I'm gonna stop right there. The reason what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna release the pressure off the engine so my mount can set in there perfect. Tighten up the bolt. Perfect. Take our power steering pump, and it sets right on top of this bracket right here and into those two grommets. So let's just set that down. Done. Over here is done. Next thing we're going to be doing is we got our fans now. Remember, we got our bolts up here, 10 millimeter bolts that we put in earlier. 1, 2, and 3. And what we're going to do here is take our first fan, bring it down. Now your fan got these little tabs at the bottom. And if you notice down here on the radiator, it has those tabs that it's got to set into. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4 way over there. So what we're going to do is set our fan down, slide it over. Let it sit down into its grooves. Put my hand down here to make sure I guide that right. Get our wiring harness out of the way. Pop it right down. Put this bolt in. And that's it. I'm not going to put the other one in because the other fan goes right there. But what I am going to do is plug up the fan right here so we can make sure that this car don't overheat. Alright, then we're going to get our next fan. And our next fan is going to, this top slot is going to set behind here. So what we're going to do is lower the fan down. Okay. Make sure it goes behind there. Set right in. Perfect. Get our bolt in there. Get our 10 millimeter bolt over here. Here's our harness. Let's connect it. Got our, oh, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it. That bolt dropped down there. This is a bum. Alright, let's get our overflow hose right here to our expansion tank. Put right here. And I'm going to go fishing to find that bolt. Right back. Alright guys, now I got me a 10 millimeter shallow 1/4 inch drive socket with a 1/4 inch drive ratchet. I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna go here, tighten up these 3 bolts right here, and matter of fact, while I'm here, bring our hose back over, hook our hose up, and to get you a flat screwdriver or a 5/16 8 millimeter socket, you can tighten that up. Let's get those done, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, got to find the other bolt, forgot to tell you. Let's get that bolt in there. This time I won't lose it. Alright, let's tighten that up. And then we're going to tighten up the hose. We're going to start putting some antifreeze in here. Be right back. Alright guys, we got our funnel up here. 50/50 antifreeze. We're going to fill this system up. And what I'm looking for, make sure there's no bleed valve anywhere. And it's not. So we're going to fill this system up. And then we're going to get ready to start this up. Alright? Let's just... Alright. We'll be right back. Alright guys, got this up. Got the antifreeze in there. Let's start this up and see. Let's hear the sound of it. Oh yeah, that's much quieter. But we did notice in the beginning it ran a little rough, and I can see sometimes still is running a little rough. So what I'm gonna do is have her drive it around for a little bit, a day or two, and hopefully see if that check engine light come on, you get an idea, a better idea of what's going on here. But it is really quiet. Definitely great. All right, the only thing I got left is put the cover on and the tie it. We'll be good to go. Be right back. All right, guys, the next thing I'm gonna do, remember this thing was missing some bolts. I had 4 of them in there. We got our 4 10mm bolts. They go in this cover. And I got me a 10mm deep 3/8 drive with my 4-inch 3/8 drive extension. And Paul from Connecticut. I'm going to be using my cordless drill with my 3/8 adapter up here. Yeah. Tighten up the 4 bolts. They're not really tight at all. And we are done. I'm just removing this, tie on, and we are done. Great job, guys. All right, we'll be right back.